Jeremiah Lee, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Where are we sitting right now?
We are sitting at my house in my bonsai garden.
So, how did all of this come about? Can you give me the short version of what bonsai is first, so that
Sure.
kind of the listeners and the viewers can figure it out if they don't know already?
Yeah.
And then we'll go through how you fell into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, so bonsai, which a lot of people call it bonsai
Yeah.
in the United States, but the correct pronunciation is bonsai, like bone-sai. And essentially it just means a tree in a pot. So bone is the tree, and then sai being the pot or the container. And that's really all that bonsai is. However, people do all different types of bonsai. Like, personally, I am very into US native trees, but then I also like Asian species. So bonsai originates, actually, I'm not even sure where it originates originally. I think China or India.
Okay.
But really, the Japanese refined it and they made it what it is today. So the last several generations, the incredible people in Japan really refined bonsai and developed all the techniques that we use today, or the majority of the techniques.
Okay. And what essentially are you doing with a bonsai tree? Are you like they're essentially a miniature version of like a much larger tree. So I would assume that throughout the process there's certain things that you have to do that would be conducive to growing a much larger tree in a very small pot, right? What types of things would those typically be?
Yeah. Well, so first off, to talk about still defining what is bonsai.
Yeah.
So absolutely, we're creating trees in miniature, but then there's also some other aspects of bonsai. So for example, some of the trees that I have over there, they're more sculptural in nature. So say for example, with juniper bonsai, there is a mix of dead wood and then live portions of the tree.
Okay.
And that's more of like an abstract sculpture that we're trying to accomplish with the foliage or the leaves around the tree. So there's different parts and different things that we do with bonsai. Or for example, with this tree, we're trying to make like a miniature redwood, essentially.
Okay.
This is a coast redwood. And so to create a miniaturized tree, there are several things that we do to the tree. One of the things is just repotting the tree into a shallow or small container. And that's just to keep the tree naturally dwarfed and naturally small. But we're also wiring the tree. So to shape the branches, you actually put wire, either copper or aluminum wire, onto the branches, and you can shape and put the branches in any manner or capacity that you want. And then we're trimming the tree on a regular basis to keep everything nice and small.
Okay. So my experience with bonsai is very limited. I think that the reason that me and maybe others even know bonsai exists is probably from Mr. Miyage and the Karate Kid. I have actually attempted to buy one of those small grow it yourself bonsai kits where you're germinating the seeds and you're waiting. It takes a very long time to do these things.
Yeah.
And every single time that I've tried this, I've failed. The trees, if the tree started to grow, I think I made 1 to 4 or 5 months, and then I left for a little bit and came back and it was dead. So it's, in my opinion, it's a lot harder than it looks, right? Like it seems like there's a lot involved that people might assume, like, oh, you're just putting a tree in a pot. You just have to water it. But it seems like there's much more involved, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Yes, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions, especially in the West. Like even in the movie The Karate Kid, they got some things wrong about bonsai. It was not horrible,
Yeah.
but especially the whole seed in a kit thing, like that's totally wrong. um, so really, the first step of bonsai is growing a trunk,
Okay.
and then you start working on the branches. And so if you start with a seed, you're taking the hardest route possible, and you're looking at like a 30-year time span before you have something cool.
Okay.
Some other common misconceptions are bonsai can be grown indoors, or they should be. Like that's pretty much like all my trees are outdoors. Outdoors is the way to go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And yes, so
Okay.
my kids are yelling at me right
It's
now.
okay.
Can I go
Go
check
for
on
it.
them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good. We'll just keep rolling.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey, bud, we're recording right now. What's up? I'll be right back.
Okay.
So sorry, man.
It's okay, man. Yeah. So if we jump back into things,
Yeah.
you said you're half Asian, half Caucasian.
Yeah.
So did you fall into this because of your familial heritage, or how did this come about?
My dad is actually he was born in Taiwan, but he is originally from mainland China. And yeah, bonsai, I mean, even the word bonsai is more of a Japanese term. It's not Chinese, although bonsai is big in China. They call it pensai or penjing in China.
Okay.
It's a little bit different than bonsai, and I tend to favor Japanese bonsai. Actually, I think that Japanese bonsai is on a little bit of a higher level than Chinese bonsai. But no, not necessarily family-wise. That's not necessarily why I fell into it. I really got into bonsai, I think, because I was really into going up into the mountains. So specifically the Sierra. Do you spend much time in the Sierra?
No.
No. Okay.
Not
got
really.
it.
I mean, I spend a lot of time like in, I guess, where do I go? Like up in Sonora, California, like a little bit north of Yosemite.
Nice.
But no, not deep into the mountains.
Okay. Got it. Well, I am a massive fan of being up in the Sierra, and I don't know if it's Sierra or Sierras.
Yeah.
I don't know the proper term, but I love being up there. And it really started for me in Boy Scouts. So as a kid growing up, I was in Boy Scouts, and I was very lucky because my scoutmaster or my troop leader or whatever they call it, his passion was backpacking up in the Sierra.
Okay.
And so I could never do this, but he would take us up into the mountains like, I don't know, 10 kids, and I would not want to sign up for that. Like taking 10 kids up into the mountains on these like gnarly backpacking trips. But he really, I think when someone is so passionate about something, it can often rub off on you.
Yeah.
And this guy was just so in love with backpacking, and he really taught us to enjoy being outdoors, setting up our tents, hiking, kind of just gaining an appreciation for nature and the natural environment. And so I think that I got into bonsai because I got into backpacking and being out in the wilderness and seeing all the trees and the rock and the water around me.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the trees that I use now are grow up in the Sierra
Okay.
for bonsai.
How did it evolve from this childhood love of the forest and the trees into this insane garden that we're sitting in now?
Well, thank you. So I got into, or I got into backpacking way back in the day when I was a little kid and camping up in the Sierra. And then I totally got out of it. So high school, you get your driver's license, interested in other things, not being in Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts is not cool.
Yeah.
And so for many years, I was not into backpacking, camping. Went to college at UCSB in Santa Barbara, way more into partying than anything, and was not into bonsai or anything like that. I actually did buy a bonsai on the side of the road randomly,
Yeah.
but I think my college roommate killed it by watering it with too many beers.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really after college. I feel like right when I graduated from UCSB in 2007, I think I was just in a spot where I was looking for something. I was kind of out of college and I didn't know what I wanted to get into or anything like that. And I actually, again, saw the guy selling bonsai on the side of the road out of a van, which I don't really think is like super legit bonsai,
Yeah.
but it just sparked my interest. And so from there, I Googled and searched for bonsai nurseries, and I found some forums online. There's actually a bonsai nursery in Nipomo, which is the town that we're in right now. And I would just go to the bonsai nursery. And so in Nipomo, it's called Murnaka Bonsai Nursery. And they're on the second generation now. So it was the father, and now the son owns it.
Wow.
And I would walk around the nursery and they would point out these trees, like this Japanese maple behind you, and they'd say, "We started this in 1970 from a seed."
Wow.
And I don't know, something just really, I just caught the spark. I was just very interested in it, and it was really cool to see these trees that were older than I was, that they cared for and loved so much, and something connected me back to nature, and I just got interested again. You want me to talk about like studying bonsai and stuff, or?
Well, yeah, I think it would be interesting because number one, this is a passion project, right? Like, do you sell any of these, or is this completely just for the love of the art?
Yeah, I would say 100% it's a passion project.
Yeah.
I think at some point in my life, like probably, I don't know, next 10, 15 years or so, maybe I may want to start teaching bonsai and
Okay.
selling some trees. And I think one of my big goals long term is to expand bonsai on the Central Coast here,
Yeah.
because there's not much in terms of bonsai here. But yeah, passion project, just something that I'm into,
Yeah.
and that I really love and enjoy.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that I was super excited for this interview, because I think that I've interviewed many people that they have a business or something and it's financially driven for the most part. But I think that it's important for people to kind of see the other side of things, right? Like I would assume, have a day job,
I do, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But you also, and we'll get into more of kind of the different aspects of what you do around bonsai, but I just think that it's so interesting when people kind of pick up this new hobby for the first time and kind of jump in and make it a huge part of their life and their identity. And let's go to the next part of the story, which would take us from the roadside van man bonsai to, like, how did you start to develop it as more of a hobby or a passion of yours?
Yeah, for sure. So after the roadside guide, like I think I bought a couple trees. I started researching it online. I was really lucky because through some forums and just research online, I ended up stumbling across this guy named Peter T, who was, back then, he's only a few years older than me.
Okay.
But he just started as a semi-professional bonsai teacher And he was up in San Jose, and there's no teachers really here on the Central Coast for the most part. So I stumbled across him online. His stuff looked really good, and I just went up and visited him. And I think that's where I really, really got hooked.
Yeah.
Because he had these incredible trees in his backyard in San Jose, and he really knew how to develop them. So I started going up to see him and studying under him. Maybe like every other month or so, I'd go up for a couple days. Sometimes like sleep in the back of my car or come back down and started studying under him. Since then, so he actually ended up going to Japan to do a formal apprenticeship. He did about 3.5 years, but before that, he studied bonsai in the US from a guy that apprenticed in Japan. But he was gone for about 3.5 years apprenticing in Japan. He came back to the United States, and I still studied under him. Since then, I went to Japan as well.
Okay.
It was I only went for 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
But it was such a cool experience. I apprenticed at a bonsai nursery called Aichien Bonsai Nursery by Junichiro Tanaka. He owns the nursery. And it was just, I was fully immersed in bonsai, learning all the technical aspects of bonsai while I was there.
Yeah.
And it's the same place that my teacher, Peter T., studied under.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Peter T. now lives in the United States. He's up in Auburn, California, and I continued to study with him. I go up there several times a year, and usually I do like 2 or 3 days, and I study with him, and we learn bonsai, we work on trees. It's really great time, and I learn a whole lot. He, in my opinion, is one of the best in the United States.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you learn any Japanese when you went to Japan?
Very, very small amount. Like,
Skoshi.
yeah.
So when you went out there for your 2.5 week trip, what was tell me what an apprenticeship looks like.
Yeah, bonsai apprenticeship is pretty gnarly.
Is it?
Yeah. So you think like, oh, it's these little trees.
Sounds so calm and
yeah,
peaceful.
You would think so. But the Japanese are hardcore, right?
Yeah.
So first off, you get like 1 day off a month. So you're working on bonsai like 7 days a week. Like you have no time off.
Wow.
And it's often like 10-hour days. No
Okay.
joke.
Yeah.
It sounds gnarly, or it sounds unreal, but it's real. So I think a lot of it is like, I only have maybe 20 bonsai trees in this garden. They have hundreds to 1,000 trees in a professional nursery in Japan. And in Japan, there's a lot of money in bonsai. So high-level Japanese business professionals, they may buy a tree for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Maybe up to like the most expensive tree that I know of that sold was about $2 million.
Okay.
So we're talking like serious money here.
Yeah.
But in these bonsai nurseries, like they are not messing around. Like everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be precise. These bonsai nurseries, they've been around for generations. So often it will be like, oh, my great-grandfather started this bonsai nursery, and I am 3rd or 4th generation running it. So it's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like Mr. Miyagi? Are they making you sand the floor and paint the fence?
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because a lot of times your first year as a bonsai apprentice, and I was not a full-on bonsai apprentice, right? I did a visiting apprenticeship, which is totally different.
Yeah.
They do make you pull weeds, sweep,
Yeah.
clean for your first, maybe year or so. And you kind of progressively work on more and more valuable trees. So they may start you off with something that is worth $100, and then they may progress you. In year 2, you're working on maybe $1,000 trees,
Wow.
And then year 4, you're on the really expensive high level stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were out there, are they trying to pack like all of this time and knowledge into a very short amount of time with you, or?
Yeah, I mean, what I did, and really, I have learned more from my bonsai teacher, Peter T,
Yeah.
than anything. So he apprenticed in Japan. But yeah, I mean, it was like, I think we did 10-hour days, which I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of apprentices, it's pretty rough because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of knowledge right off the bat and nonstop. And so it's a lot of getting overloaded, whereas I only had to do it for 2.5 weeks. So it was like fun, interesting, different for me.
Yeah.
Quite a different experience compared to like what full-on apprentices do.
Yeah. When you were there, did you kind of learn a little bit more about the Japanese culture, or like what was, because we both do jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
which is semi-Japanese,
Uh-huh.
right?
So- yeah,
Comes from
yeah, yeah.
jiu-jitsu, adopted by the Brazilians, and then now the Americans are doing their thing. But is that what brought you to jiu-jitsu, or what was the spark that
For jiu-jitsu?
for jiu-jitsu particularly?
You know, it's funny. So when I was a little kid, my dad is really cool. He had a good friend, and they would watch the like tapes of the early UFCs.
Yeah.
And so very early on in my life, like I saw Hoist Gracie mess up all these, guys that were way bigger than him.
Yeah.
And so my dad and his good friend have always said like, hey, jiu-jitsu is legit. Like if you really want to learn how to fight and defend yourself, then learn some jiu-jitsu. And so I think I was just very influenced by those early UFCs when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I've always thought it would be just so cool to learn jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah.
that was it for me. What about for you?
Well, I wrestled in high school. I was always intrigued by Japanese culture as a kid, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Like, I think it probably had something to do with games and different anime and stuff. Maybe Mr. Miyagi. I don't know, man. But my dad was really into like different Asian culture. Like he really liked Bruce Lee. He really liked like the old dubbed Chinese movies,
Uh-huh.
where like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out when I was a kid, and it was like 2 or 3 hours of subtitles in Chinese. And he took me to see it, and I surprisingly made it through the whole movie as like a very young kid, watching this kung fu movie.
Yeah.
So I always kind of had a little bit of an interest in it. And one of the things that I've been kind of on this journey recently has been to like look back at my younger self and think like, how would the little me feel about the me today? Like, would they think that this person who's sitting here today was someone to look up to, or somebody that was really cool, or whatever? And I think that I've always kind of had that desire to think like that, but more recently, as you start to get older, you're like, I want to do this, and if I end up having kids someday, I wanted to kind of have that same thing. So because I had this interest in Japanese culture, I've been attempting to learn Japanese for a while through the various apps, no formal training.
Yeah.
Through Pimsleur, Duolingo, Drop, like all the different things. I've been to Japan twice. And it's hard. It's like Japanese is one of the harder languages.
For sure.
Especially because they adopt the Chinese kanji, but they virtually mean the same thing, but they're pronounced differently. So yeah, that's kind of, I wrestled in high school, so I was already kind of in the grappling space. And then as I think jiu-jitsu became a little bit more mainstream,
Yeah.
more gyms started popping up. So over the years, I would go into a gym here and there after wrestling in high school just to like see how I could do against some of these guys.
That's cool.
So I'd go in, get my ass kicked, feel probably good or bad about myself depending on the day, and then maybe move on. And I only really started doing it full time right before COVID hit. So, and just like bonsai, it's a huge commitment. Like, I don't think people understand that it's so much different than other sports where you get immediate feedback if you're going a lot or not, you know. If you're not, even if you took a month off and you come back, you feel really defeated because you're not putting in the time and getting the technique correct, and you can constantly like improve.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of, especially like just older people in general, as you're getting into your 30s and 40s and 50s, I think that there's not a lot of physical group activity sports out there to push yourself. So those are kind of some of the reasons that drew me to it.
Yeah. I think it's so cool that jiu-jitsu, I feel like it's kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
Like compared to bonsai, it's way bigger. Like there's jiu-jitsu gyms in every town now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so cool that as an adult, you have the opportunity to play. Like as a kid, like there's so many sports that you can play. You can get into basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever you want to play, right?
Yeah.
But as an adult, like there's not those rec league. You can't just like go start playing baseball. I mean, there's some rec leagues, but it's not as common as like, hey, I want to go drop into a noon class today and roll for a while. And I just love that there's so much jiu-jitsu. I feel like there's a ton of jiu-jitsu all over the place.
There is.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody this the other day, like when I started jiu-jitsu, well, I kind of started as I was wrestling in high school. There was like an MMA gym down the street, and I've talked about them on this podcast before, but Sean Sharkey from Fight Core and Martinez, he essentially had this gym where you had to like roll under this garage door to get in. It was like only open like this much because they didn't want people to know about it. You had to know somebody. And they essentially had this gym running on donations. Like you would just drop money in the jar if you could to keep the lights on. And so you had this group of misfit guys that were all doing different things like Muay Thai and boxing and MMA and wrestling and jiu-jitsu in one place, and all trying to teach each other things that they didn't know. So like the highest jiu-jitsu belt was purple there. Yeah. And that guy was coming from quite a distance to teach us. So that was like my initial exposure. And then because I had that early on, like grappling exposure, that's what gave me the confidence to go back into gyms later. As I would find them, as I was traveling the US, I would find a gym here and there and drop in. And the gi was always daunting for me. There weren't a lot of gyms back then, and if there was a gym, they were usually a gi gym, right? So I think that kept me away for a long time. I was like, I don't want to buy a gi. They look kind of silly. They look pretty sweaty. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. But eventually I got over that. And
do you do both? I see you in no gi all the time. I never see you in gi.
Yeah. So I will throw the gi on here and there. I don't do it as much as no gi. I've gotten injured quite a bit in the gi.
Oh yeah.
So I'll throw it on for the open mat, and I'll do a class here and there if my schedule lines up. But I think no gi for me has been more of my game and my style.
Yeah.
And nothing against the gi. Like I think the gi is so fun when you're going with people who don't know as much jiu-jitsu as you. It's awesome. I love spider guard and worm guard and like all the really fun things, like some of the judo throws and stuff. But what I don't love is showing up at the open mat and just completely getting my ass kicked by all the black belts or like big guys that are better than me at the gi. And then I have to take 6 months off because something happened where my knee snapped because I couldn't get it out of the way.
So
yeah.
Yeah. I think actually a little more interested in no-gi these
Yeah.
days. Like I've always kind of done 50-50, but I travel for work a lot, and
Okay.
I got the opportunity to train at Simple Man,
Yeah.
which was so cool. It was random. Kai was there like
Was
the
he?
same time that I was there.
That's funny.
But I think no-gi is growing faster,
Yeah.
and I like both, but I feel like, I don't know, I am more interested in no-gi
Yeah.
than gi, I think. But both are fun. I like
Definitely.
both.
Yeah, it's funny. I had Kai on the podcast as maybe the second or third guest,
Yeah.
and it's been interesting to see him kind of progress in his jiu-jitsu creator, influencer type of space and career that he's doing, mostly in the no-gi space, but I think he does gi too. But that's another thing is that, I mean, at this point, this podcast has been all jiu-jitsu people.
Yeah.
And so we all kind of at least have this central line kind of running through everything. And I think it's interesting that because I was already kind of a culture buff. So
Yeah.
when I first started jiu-jitsu, I read all the samurai books about like ancient samurais that did like the history of jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to know like why it was developed for the battlefield and how it got kind of recreated in different ways, and that was very interesting to me, and that was about the same time that I started taking Japanese a little more seriously.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know, I have this very strange personality type that is probably combined with some form of ADHD, where I get really involved in something. Like I can latch onto something and do that one thing, but then I let everything else fall by the wayside until I come up for air.
Yeah.
And
Well, I feel like that's a superpower.
Yeah.
You just got to learn how to harness it the right
Yeah.
way, you know?
yeah, and that's actually a really good point. I think I have not mastered that skill. Maybe you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard people refer to it like that, and I do agree, but I do think that it just, it makes balance very difficult. I think that's one of the biggest problems that we all face, is trying to balance all of the different areas of life. How do you have a job that fulfills you in some way? How do you find purpose in your relationships with your family or your friends? How do you have some type of physical thing in your life that allows you to get exercise and be healthy? Like there's all these little aspects, and as you start to tip the scale in one direction, the others start to fail.
Yeah. I'm massive on balance in
Yeah.
life, and I feel like everyone's balance is different. I feel like you should start with, what are your goals in life? What are you trying to accomplish? And then adjust your balance depending on your goals.
Yeah.
So for example, if you want to be a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner, right? You kind of have to border on being a little crazy
Yeah.
and overtraining. Like you can't overtrain, but like your training amount is going to be massive compared to myself, who's a 42-year-old father of two, who has a full-time job and other hobbies.
Yeah.
Like my balance is just going to be quite different. But for me, I think bonsai and jiu-jitsu really help to balance me out in life. Like with bonsai, I get to come in, water my trees. It's kind of like a stop and smell the flowers or the roses kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just makes me chill out for a sec. I drink my coffee. I just relax and enjoy my trees. And then I can go on and do the rest of my day. And then I think with jiu-jitsu, it's like, hey, I'm going to be the nicest guy ever. And even in jiu-jitsu, like I never want to hurt any of my training partners or anything like that. But I do think that as a man, sometimes you need to go out and get a little rowdy, right?
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu is such a great outlet for that, because you can go, you can train really hard, you can get all that energy out. And it's a very positive way of of getting that rowdy energy out, and then you can go and be nice for the rest of the day. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very very nice in the gym and everything, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just a fantastic way of balancing your life. And I think Jiu-Jitsu has really helped to balance, Bonsai and Jiu-Jitsu have helped to balance my life in
Yeah.
an appropriate manner.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the the ability to balance different, I guess, hobbies is something that, I mean, with your family and everything else is such a skill,
Yeah.
you know? And I think also just like, for me, I struggle sometimes with motivation to show up and work the right thing. I even struggle with motivation for the podcast sometimes. I say like,
Yeah.
man, this last one took me forever to film it, edit it, put it together, maybe a month. Like, do I really want to go through that again? But last night, man, I'll tell you this, I didn't sleep at all last night because I was so excited for this today. Like, I don't know what it was, but maybe a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of excitement. But there is something about like doing something that kind of scares you a little bit. You know, there's something that you could mess up on, and being a beginner, that there's just something about it that I feel like enough people aren't doing, you know? And jiu-jitsu is very scary for people when they come in for the first time.
Absolutely.
It's hard to be a beginner in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's hard to be a beginner in bonsai. You know, I'm sure that you killed a couple trees on
Yeah.
your way to trying to build all of this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think jiu-jitsu is harder to get into than bonsai, like
Yeah.
because the white belt phase is not, sometimes cannot be that fun. I mean, like, I'm sure most people drop out at white belt, right? That's got to be a thing.
Yeah.
Because you get immediate feedback of like you're getting roughed up, you're getting beat up, and I think you're just like gassing yourself every round, using every last ounce of strength you can
Yeah.
until you learn the technique. With bonsai, yeah, I mean, it is a steep learning curve as well, and it's not fun to kill trees, but I think getting beat up is kind of like that even more immediate feedback that most people are probably not that stoked on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did I read this correctly that like your, I guess, style of bonsai is it called Yamadori? Is it like, what is that exactly?
Great question. So Yamadori is a Japanese term for collected tree,
Okay.
and that is absolutely something that I'm very interested in. So there's really two types of bonsai. You could divide trees into two types of bonsai. So collected and field grown or container grown. So either you start with like a seed or a cutting to grow a bonsai, which is like the Japanese maple right behind you,
Yeah.
or you collect a tree from out in the wild, like this redwood here. And I am very drawn to collected trees, and that's something that I do. I go out into the mountains and I collect trees, always with permission, but I'm very interested in collecting trees.
Yeah.
And that's definitely been part of my bonsai journey.
Yeah. What does that process look like when you're going out into the mountains? Like, I would assume you have to, you're looking for something specific, and then you probably have to take some type of tools with you to get it out of the ground.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, and so first off, I always get permission. I'm always on either private land and I ask for permission from the property owner, or sometimes through like BLM or national forest land, you can obtain permits. And so I generally am just collecting for myself, which means I'm not going out there trying to make a ton of money, like collecting tons of trees. I'm just collecting a few trees for myself. But the process, I mean, I have like a hunting pack. So it's like a metal frame backpack, which I could show you. But essentially, like, it allows me to hike really far distances to go find these trees.
Yeah.
And often they're growing in rock, so they're essentially naturally dwarfed because the root systems can't expand and grow because they're in a little pocket of duff and soil that these rocks form. And so essentially I take this bar and I get under the root system and I am able to pop the root system out and take these trees, and then I pack them down to my van. Usually I go camping, and so like I'll sleep in my van, and I'll be out there for a few days at a time.
Cool.
And it's something that I really enjoy.
Wow, that sounds like fun, man. I'm gonna have to see if I can join you one of these times.
Yeah, dude.
That would be awesome. I'll invite myself.
It is super fun.
I love backpacking.
Nice.
I get a little antsy after a few days. Like
Yeah.
3 or 4 days. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I want to be out here anymore, you know, but
I get that.
I love doing it for a few days. I do almost every year, I do a hike out in the Sespe Wilderness. That is about 40 miles round trip.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Dang.
it's about 4 or 5 days.
That's legit.
And it's just like the biggest reset, you know? It's like crazy how maybe it's just the pain of hiking that far with a big pack, but there's something about like disconnecting from your phone, bringing a few books, maybe some games, you know, packing your food in. Your food always tastes way better after a long hike. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man, I love it.
Oh, 100%. So going back to the whole balance thing, right? So I work in an office environment,
Yeah.
and at a certain point in time, like just being under those fluorescent lights, looking at a computer screen for a long time, I just start to crave the mountains or
Yeah.
just being outdoors, camping. And I think it really just resets your soul and your being. And I love it. So I crave it. And then
Yeah.
after a little while being up in the mountains, getting that peace and quiet for me, then like I'm kind of ready to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the term forest bathing? So apparently, I don't know if this is 100% true. I've read it in a few places, but apparently you can get a prescription in Japan for forest bathing. So you can take time off work to do like a walk in the forest or a trip in the forest. And they've done studies that are trying to figure out like what is it about it particularly that is helpful and useful. Hey.
Love you. This is my wife, Courtney.
Nice to meet you, Courtney.
What are you wearing?
I'm going to the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
After us, so
That's right. This is Alec.
Perfect. Nice.
nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
I'm leaving.
Love you, sweetie. Okay. Sounds good. Sorry.
That's all right.
So forest bathing, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that like 100%. I don't know. I feel like if you were just inside in an office environment all the time, like I would freak out after a certain point and
Yeah.
I just couldn't take it. But getting up into the mountains really just like resets me, and then I can come back and I'm good. Like I'm okay with it. I'm actually not one of the people that is like, oh, like I want to live out there permanently and never talk to people again or anything like that. Like I love people.
Yeah.
I enjoy being in a city even, but not all the time. Like I want to come out and I want some time by myself every once in a while. I want to escape and just surround myself with beautiful things, which for me, the mountains is the most beautiful. And then I guess secondarily, I wanted to create something in my own backyard that I could come out and enjoy that would give me a little piece of being out there
Yeah.
every day. And that's why, part of the reason why I really wanted a bonsai garden.
Yeah. That's really cool. And I mean, what you've built is amazing, man. Like some of these trees are really nice.
Thank you. Thank
What, I mean, you talked a little bit about kind of a special bonsai that you're working on right now for maybe a show. What does that look like? Like, are you participating in these like bonsai shows? Is what's the bonsai show circuit like?
Yeah. So right now there's like two really big shows in the U.S. So there's one on the East Coast. It's called the U.S. National Bonsai Exhibition, and then there's one that's actually up in the Bay Area. It was in Oakland. Now it's going to be in Pleasanton, I think.
Okay.
And it's called the Pacific Bonsai Expo. And so these two shows are like the cream of the crop shows in the U.S. and they're very competitive. So a lot of people enter trees. They only select 75 trees to actually exhibit.
Wow.
And then there's prizes and things like that. And so the Pacific Bonsai Expo is every 2 years. And so I'm prepping a tree for that and I'm really excited to show it and display it. And yeah, a lot of my goals within bonsai, I would say are pretty lofty. Like
Yeah.
I definitely want to exhibit trees and show trees and try and win awards. And I really want to create a collection that's considered one of the best in the United States.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you won anything so far?
Yeah, I won an award at the last Pacific Bonsai Expo for this tree, actually,
Okay.
the Redwood. And then I won one national award as well
Wow.
on the East Coast. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So people are from all countries are coming in for this thing, and
yeah, I mean, so there definitely are. I mean, like they have people travel from a lot of different countries, but mainly like people from the U.S.
yeah, I would
come into
imagine it's
these.
pretty hard to ship a big tree internationally on a
Yeah.
plane and not have it get destroyed.
Yeah. There's totally rules around exporting to other countries
Yeah.
for pest and disease reasons. So it doesn't happen very much. Like, we don't import trees often.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they have to go through a 2-year quarantine process generally.
Okay.
So it's just American trees being shown at these shows.
And what are they looking for specifically
Like,
to rate the trees? Like how would you win one of these, or maybe not winning? Like I don't know how
Yeah.
competitive it is.
no, it totally is competitive.
Yeah.
And yeah, like 100%. So it's actually the system that they use now. It's a member's choice.
Yeah.
So, or member's choice. Anyone that exhibits a tree, they're the judges.
Okay.
So I think the last show, maybe there were 75 trees, maybe by like 45 exhibitors. So those 45 exhibitors would be the judges. And they give you a sheet to judge every single tree, and you rate every single tree on a 1 to 5 scale. So 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. And you walk around and you critique and judge every single tree, and then you submit your thing. And there's like about 7 awards, generally speaking. So they divide these by different categories. It's quite subjective in the judging, if I'm being really realistic.
Yeah.
But there's things like the deadwood features, the surface roots, the taper of the tree, the refinement of the pads, the age of the overall tree. So several different factors are evaluated, and those are kind of the criteria that you're looking at
Okay.
when you're judging.
What are the prizes like for these things?
So there's no monetary.
Okay.
They just give you like these cool trophies, which I could show you one of them.
Yeah,
but,
let's look at it a little bit later.
They actually made these cool like little metal sculptures
Yeah.
for the Pacific Bonsai Expo.
Okay.
And then for the national show, they have this Japanese artist that paints a picture on, I don't even know, it's like a framed scroll.
Okay.
Very cool. You can actually display it alongside one of your trees.
Yeah.
But they are cool awards. It's not a monetary thing. It's more
Yeah.
just like bragging rights. And there's not much. Bonsai is very small.
Yeah.
It's not as big as Jiu-Jitsu. Like I know a lot of people say Jiu-Jitsu is small, but I feel like bonsai is way smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump over to the podcast, the Black Pondo podcast. Are the people that you interview there going to be at the show? Are they your competitors?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, the Black Pondo podcast, like essentially I just interview my friends and I just chat casually about bonsai. And so most definitely, I mean, I interview my friends, I interview cool people. My whole thing is I pick people that I'm genuinely interested in and I just pick their brains
Yeah.
and ask them whatever questions pop in my mind, or if any listeners ever want to know things, they can always submit questions to me and we ask those questions. But it's really informal,
Yeah.
just chatting it up, kind of like this.
Okay. What are some of the things that you've kind of learned from starting this? You've done how many episodes?
I just hit my 40th episode,
Okay.
and I mean, I learn every single episode.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say exactly, it's hard to pinpoint out like one thing, because I feel like every episode, there's always these little nuggets, these little gems that I am learning about, random little niches in a niche. And so it's been really enjoyable, and it's been a great learning opportunity for myself. Like I love sitting down and chatting with people and picking their brains about bonsai related stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that recently you had a guy on that makes like, furniture.
Yeah.
How is
yeah.
that? Is that like, does that run in parallel kind of with the bonsai, I guess, hobby, or how does that play into everything? Because he has to go and do a lot of the similar things, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I interviewed Austin Heitzman is his name, and he is, so essentially when you display a bonsai tree, you display it on a display table.
Okay.
So not like this. This is very just like for the garden.
Yeah.
So he creates these incredible, highly detailed, highly skilled bonsai display tables, and he uses trees that he often will cut down and he'll dry the lumber himself, but he's using like really nice species like walnut and mahogany, and he even uses manzanita, which is like a California native, very uncommon, and essentially he creates these like very detailed display tables that your bonsai sit on for when you display them indoors. So
Okay.
you can display them indoors. I can show you some later.
When you display them indoors, do you have to pull them back outside? Like
Yeah.
you were
So-
talking about how they don't do well inside, right?
Totally. It's a temporary thing. So typically you'll display it indoors, and you can display them indoors for up to about a couple weeks if they're nice and healthy.
Okay.
But generally speaking, the trees don't grow as well outdoors, so you don't want to, or excuse me, they don't grow as well indoors, so you don't want to keep them indoors for too long.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll start getting health issues.
Okay. I've seen, like, you talked a little bit about like the wiring and the potting process. I've seen people, what they also do is they will pull the leaves off of their trees to
Yeah.
get them to grow back smaller. Is that what's happening, or why do they do that?
Yeah, so we call that defoliation.
Okay.
And so that just means to remove leaves off your tree. And you can do that for a number of different reasons. It does reduce the size of the leaves, actually, which is really cool. So talking about creating that naturally dwarfed tree, it's a great technique for that. Also in bonsai, we're trying to create a balanced tree. So trees actually, they want to grow, they're apically dominant. So the tops of the trees grow a lot faster, generally speaking, than like the sides of the trees. And so to balance that out, sometimes you'll defoliate or remove the leaves on a certain area of the tree.
Okay.
So for example, like you may just defoliate the upper portion of the tree so that the side branches can get stronger and be more vigorous. So there's several different reasons you can do it, but that's
Yeah.
absolutely a technique. There's many techniques in bonsai that we can use, just like many techniques in jiu-jitsu. Like it's
Yeah.
a whole several rabbit holes you can go down.
Yeah, it seems like there's. So the way that I view bonsai is maybe a lot of maintenance of waiting for it to get to a certain point, and then you are doing like a big action that could potentially maybe go wrong when you're either repotting, or I've seen, maybe from you, but maybe from other people too, where they're like carving into the trunk or the wood in a certain way, which seems like maybe could go south, you know, like what types of things like that have you either learned from, or has there been any mishaps when you're trying to learn these things where you spend a lot of time on a tree like this and then something happened and you were really disappointed?
Yeah, for sure. So with bonsai, to get the tree where you want it, the design, you can do all kinds of things. So a lot of it is like bending big branches.
Yeah.
And to bend a big branch, like, I mean, you're bending it and you're putting it in place with wire or through guy wires. So for example, like if you look under that branch, there's a little guy wire
Yeah.
connected to the bottom of the pot. And absolutely things can go wrong. But if you develop your technique, just like in jiu-jitsu, you can get it to a point where 99% of the time you're going to be good. And a lot of with bonsai, what we're doing is we're giving it one big punch to the face, and then we're allowing it to recover for a long period of time. We're not like punching it over and over and over. So a lot of it is you perform one big action on the tree, and then you let it recover for a year before you perform the next big action.
Okay.
So either like you can repot the tree, which is like a healthy tree can absolutely stand a repotting, but you wouldn't want to bend a big branch and repot the tree on the same day.
Okay.
Some people do it, but it's not advised. Like really, and I'm all about respecting the trees and taking the best care possible for them and ensuring that everything that I do, I have the health of the tree in mind first. And so I would never do both of those actions on the same day. I would do one, wait 6 months to a year until the tree is showing me signs that it's nice and healthy, and then I would do the next action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any corollaries between bonsai and maybe other aspects of life that you maybe have drawn upon or kind of learned? Like jiu-jitsu, for me, I could say that there's an adaptation of being calm under stress, for example.
I love that. Absolutely.
I would assume patience is a virtue, right, in some capacity. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess off the top of my head, because I feel like there's so many lessons you could learn from jiu-jitsu or from bonsai, right? The one that comes to my mind is patience.
Yeah.
So developing high-level trees is all about time and consistency. And if you're consistent with working on your trees on a regular basis when they need to be worked on, and you let that time pass, then you will have really positive results. So a lot of bonsai trees, like this is relatively fast. This is like actually redwoods develop the fastest out of any trees probably.
Wow.
Because they grow so vigorously.
Okay.
But even this tree, like I think I got it in maybe 2015 or so, and it's kind of now just showable.
Wow.
So it takes several years, and that's very short.
Yes, 11 years, 10
Yeah.
years? Yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of the projects that I'm working on are like 30-year projects. So it's like I plant the seed, and in 30 years, I want to show that tree.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lesson that I've learned in jiu-jitsu and bonsai is just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And it's more about the journey than the process, or excuse me, more about the journey than the final outcome. And you should enjoy that. You got to enjoy every second, and you got to be patient.
Yeah.
And through consistency and just sticking with something, like you will get better.
Yeah.
I guess with jiu-jitsu, I never thought that I could get good at jiu-jitsu, and not that I'm great or anything. But I'm a lot better than when I started on day one.
Yeah.
And it's just going in, putting the time in, practicing, getting that mat time in, and like eventually you become better. Like you absolutely will get better. You
Yeah.
just gotta like trust the process.
Yeah, and it seems too like a very artistic endeavor. Like if you've ever painted something, for example, something that I struggle with, at least every time I've tried to paint something, is I'll get to a point where I feel like, oh, this looks really good. It would look better with this thing added to it, but if I touch it, I might ruin it. You know?
Yeah.
Do you ever get that with bonsai where you're a little, I don't know, iffy, you're maybe scared to make that next move?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've been doing bonsai now for 19-ish years, I think.
Yeah.
And I still work with a teacher. So I go up and I see my teacher, Peter T, on a regular basis, and I consult with him and ask him like, hey, what do you think about this branch, or how's the shape of the apex here?
Yeah.
Should I pull this branch down, you know, another 5 degrees? Yeah, so it's nice to have someone to bounce those things off of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, I think we're coming to the end, but do you have any final kind of words of wisdom or advice that maybe you live your life by, or anything that you think others could benefit from hearing?
Well, you know, one thing I was thinking about just this morning off the top of my mind, I guess, is I kind of feel like every man should have 3 hobbies. And maybe you've heard this before, but I feel like you should have a hobby that keeps you physically fit. I think that's very important. I think health is wealth, and it's so important to stay healthy and be active. I also think you should have a hobby that makes you money. And then lastly, I think you should have a hobby that doesn't matter what other people think, that you just enjoy doing for the hell of it. And like you're into it, and it could be whatever. I think it's really kind of weird that I'm into bonsai. All my friends are into football or like fast cars and
Yeah.
sports and things like that. And why am I into bonsai? But I love it. I enjoy it. It's my thing. It's something that I found that I'm just genuinely passionate about, and I just do it for the hell of it. And I love it, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. But I do think that it's important to have something that keeps you physically fit, that will make you money, and that you enjoy doing just for the hell of it. So,
Have you heard of the Japanese term, I think it's ikigai?
I think I've heard of it, but I don't know the definition.
It keeps popping up on all the self-help and personal growth podcasts, so I figured I might as well mention it.
Please do.
But it's, I'm not sure what the 4 areas are exactly, but it's something like a Venn diagram, I think, with 4 circles.
Yeah.
And the 4 circles include like, what am I good at? What does the world need more of? What can I make money doing? And then, I don't know, there's a 4th one. But it sounded very similar to kind of what you were just saying right now, so I thought that was interesting.
I love it. That's awesome, man. I will look into that. And
I mean, me too. I need to learn
Yeah.
the 4th circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think this has been super enlightening for me, because I've always had a little, like an inkling or like an interest in learning more about bonsai. Like I said, I've tried and failed a couple times at maybe taking on a little bit more of a challenge than I was ready for from the little kits that you can buy. But what really interested me in this subject and kind of your story is that essentially, like, there's so many people out there that are looking for purpose in their life somewhere, right? And they're looking for it a lot of the time in their work, and they don't like put it together all the time that you can start something that isn't your main, source of income, right? Like you can take something that is more of a hobby and turn it into something that other people are willing to at least hear about and learn about. And I think that you can find purpose in other things that they don't always have to be financially driven. It's great if they are, right? And there's so many forms of art out there. To me, this is a form of art. So I really think that showing people this side of something that maybe they haven't seen before could spark an interest, even if it's not in like bonsai, maybe in something similar for them. Because I feel like that, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's become a part of your identity, right? Like in your story.
Totally.
So thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast and share your bonsai garden and waking up this morning to to make time for me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alec, like I think you do a really good job with these podcasts, and
Thank you.
it's been really fun to watch some of them, see some of my friends from the Jiu-Jitsu gym being interviewed by you, and I'm excited to see you progress this podcast and keep going with it. I think you're creating something special here, and so please keep up the good work, keep going. If you get down on those days and you don't feel like you have motivation, like just know that like I'm a big fan of what you're doing, and please keep going, and you're going to be very, very successful. I guarantee it.
Awesome, buddy.
So-
Appreciate that. Thank you.
For sure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Making Mentors podcast. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, cheers.